Satnam. Here are 3 different pranayama techniques that you can use. You can use these singularly, so each one of these will have a little different effect, or you can use them together. I'm going to show you them together. Let's first talk about them each just a little bit, because I want to practice these each a little bit so you can kind of get an understanding practically how they feel and experientially, not just from me talking about them. But there's 3 that we want to do. One is called Kapalabhati. It's the first one we're going to do. Second one is what's called Sitali breath. Third one, we're going to do what's called Nadi Shodana. What each one of those do. The first one, I want to use imagery. This would be helpful to understand how this breath pattern works, and each one of them will do for you. If you think of having an outdoor campfire, fire pit, and we're looking to get the fire going, what's the first thing that we have to do? Is add some sort of an accelerant to get this going, right? And a good way to do it is we fan it. We can use a bellows to make the fire come up higher. We want to increase the oxygen that's going into that so that the fire can start to catch and then to burn. That's Kapalabhati. And we use a technique where we pull our navel point in and out, and it's the forceful pulling in of it that creates that exhale. Inhale sort of happens automatically, very similar to pumping that fire to get the fire going. So that's the first thing we're going to do. The second thing we're going to do is what's called Sitali breath, where we curl our tongue, we breathe in that breath. That sort of acts as a way to kind of gently fan that fire, getting that campfire so we can get those nice glow of those coals, just that nice orange color of those coals, just perfect for cooking. Roast a marshmallow over it. Works really well that way. The third one we're going to do, the Nadi Shodana. That is sort of like when you just sit around the campfire and you just sort of just gaze. You just sort of just gaze at what's going on. You just look and you just kind of just like lose yourself into the flames. This creates a balance. We do this balance so that we can balance the left and the right hemispheres of our brain, so we can bring our dualities into a sense of steadiness. Done all 3 together is very helpful in bringing us all just a sense of balance. There'll be an alertness about you. There'll be a calmness about you. And then there'll just be this just overall feeling of well-being that you'll have within you. Let's just go over the techniques just quickly, and then we'll do that. These are best done, all of them, on an empty stomach, meaning no food or liquid. Liquid hour and a half prior, food 2 to 3 hours before. Try not to do any food in the belly as you do these techniques. Just best done on an empty stomach. So first thing in the morning is fantastic. For Kapalabhati, if you're pregnant or menstruating, you either want to do this very, very gently or not at all. And you replace that with long, slow, deep breathing. If you're feeling uncomfortable in any way as you do any of these practices, just stop and just breathe normally. Kapalabhati, what is it? It is a forceful exhale of that navel point area. So with that forceful exhale, it's sort of like somebody like would punch you in the gut, or if you you cough really hard, feel that pull in, that if you cough, you'll feel that pulling in. That is the technique that we want to do. We want to bring that inwards so it makes this sound. And then we release the belly. In and out. But we're not using the upper respiration in order to do that. Just a strong pulling in on that point through there. Kapalabhati. Sitali breath. Again, curl the tongue. Breathe in, long and slow. And then when you're ready to exhale, you bring the tongue inwards and touch it to the top of the palate. Exhale through the nose. Once again, we want the breath to come from the belly. So as you breathe in, let that belly come out. And as we exhale, let that belly come in. We're just doing it slower. Kapalabhati is a forceful exhale. This one, we're working the belly to come out and in. Exhaling, it goes in. Inhaling, it goes out. And then the next technique we're going to use is that Nadi Shodana. You're going to take your index finger and middle finger, you're going to touch in between your eyebrows, and you're going to press. You're going to use your thumb and your ring finger to alternately block off your nostrils. We begin this by breathing out. So you block off the right nostril, you breathe out completely through the left, and then you breathe in through the left. And then we're going to block off the left and breathe out through the right. In the right, block it off, out the left. Now I made the breath so that you could hear it. But basically what you're doing is you're breathing in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. This back and forth. One cycle back and forth. Just like that. The breath, once again, same thing. We want that to be silent or nearly silent when we do that. So in order to do that, once again, we're going to use our belly to do the breathing for us. So if I were to demonstrate and show you with my belly, you'd be able to not hear the breath or barely hear the breath. It would sound like this. Fairly inaudible. So it's not necessary to take a very, very long, deep breath with that. Just a very natural breath will work as long as you're alternating back and forth. Now there are all kind of ratios and many different ways you can do that particular technique, but for today, for this particular purpose, let's just breathe in and breathe out. Fairly normally, fairly silently, fairly gracefully. Let's just practice all three of these together for just a few moments each. You can extend these. I'll explain afterwards. Let's just do these first, and I'll explain afterwards how you can extend these. So sit tall as always. For this, we can just put our palms face upwards for all of them. Just gently over your knees, just facing upwards. We're going to begin with the Kapalabhati. With each one of these techniques, our eyes are going to be closed, focused at the brow point. So our eyes will be closed the whole time. We're going to forcefully exhale the air through our nose, but using our navel point to do it. So practice along with me. And then you would inhale, hold the breath just gently for a moment, and then allow the air to seep out through the nose. Don't really force the air out, just let it seep out. Your eyes are still closed. Just let it seep out, and just let the breath sort of hover. And then when you're ready, you could do another round of this, where you'd breathe in again, slightly exhale, and you begin pumping one again. And just again, you're pulling backwards. Kapalabhati. If you're uncomfortable at all, don't practice it. Menstruating, pregnant, don't practice it. If you need to get a little boost in your life and get going, Kapalabhati, fantastic. Digestive juices are a little low, you're not digesting the food properly, you're putting on weight. Fantastic. Sitali breath. Curl your tongue. Breathe in through that curled tongue. And then exhale, draw it back inwards, touch it to the roof of your mouth. Exhale through the nose. Begin again. Stick out your tongue, curl it. Bring the tongue back in to exhale. Exhale through the nose. Stick out the tongue to inhale. Exhale, bring the tongue back in. Touch it to the roof of your mouth. And you would do that until you feel you've done it enough. Once again, we'll breathe in, hold the breath, exhale the breath. Started with Kapalabhati. Practice next with Sitali. Fantastic if you have anger. Fantastic if you have anxiety. Fantastic if you have an inflammatory condition going on in your body. Sitali breath helps to cool it down. Sometimes you may need to get a blanket, especially if you do it for extended periods, where you want to put a blanket over you, just to stay warm. Now let's stare at that fire. Let's bring our balance to our life, bringing those hemispheres of the brain, the left, the right, the male, the female, the sun, the moon, all the dualities that we have in us. Let's bring them to a state of balance, and we do that with a very simple technique, which is the Nadi Shodana. Take your index finger and your middle finger and touch into between your eyebrows. Block off your right nostril using your thumb. Exhale completely through the left, and then breathe in through the left. Block off the left, breathe out the right, using the ring finger to block off the left nostril. Breathe in the right. Out the left. In the left. Out the right. In the right. Out the left. And then you would inhale through both nostrils. Hold the breath gently. Exhale. And then you would sit with all of your attention focused at that brow point. Spend a few moments, few minutes, however long you want to, in this position, just sitting tall. Your chest is out, your chin is in, you're lifting up out of the pelvis. Your eye focus is up at the brow point. And your breath is just very, very natural, very gentle in and out through the nose as you draw your attention to this. Do these practices, each one of them. Try them singularly. Try them together. Try them in any combination that you want to try and put them together. Doing the three of them on a regular basis will help to bring balance into your entire system. And again, to use the imagery of the fireplace, the fire pit, the campfire. We got to get it going somehow. That's the Kapalabhati. We got to get it so that we can cook our marshmallows so that they don't burn. We can just brown them nicely, and that's getting those coals to that nice kind of just nice orange color, flames kind of flickering up. And then we want to be able to just kind of just lose ourselves in that fire. Just a very nice, natural gaze into that fire pit. That is the Nadi Shodana, the balance. So one gets us going, one sort of cools us down, and the other brings us to a state of balance. Use them as a combination, use them together, use them to serve yourself, share them with others, and if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask. As always, I wish you well. Sat Nam.